Hello, buddies. Hi there. I hope you find wherever you are. Thank you, all Black Americans, for always hearing out how you think, because it is important for the world. It is important for everyone. Now, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because some people, have always been complaining, saying that African Americans don't take action, Black Americans don't take action. They keep on complaining about things, they keep on doing this, they keep on complaining about that. But remember that we have people outside there who congratulates you for what you're doing. Now, in this video, we have two stories that I'm going to share with you. I hope you learn from it. The first story is about a woman giving their personal anecdotes, their personal history with McDonald's as a Black American growing in the United States. The second story is about a Mexican congratulating all African Americans for their good deed. I want us to watch these two videos and later on come back at the end of the video and say something, talk about something a little bit. I hope we learn from it. As African and African Americans, we are one people. So let's watch the video. And if you're watching this video for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to my channel. Let's watch the video.
It's because black people, y'all cry too much. Y'all complain too much. You're victims. Here's the thing. That crying, that complaining is what caused black people to fight. If it weren't for black people put in prison for fighting and getting murked a lot of times, if it weren't for that, a lot of minorities in this country wouldn't have these systemic opportunities that we do today. The irony that I see when I see Mexicans or Mexican Americans tell black people that y'all cry too much, y'all complain, y'all just victims. But it is that crying and that complaining what caused y'all to fight for all of us. For all of us. Literally, we Mexican, and I speak for myself, we're so prideful that we choose to be quiet a lot of times as we're being systemically mistreated and we face systemic inequalities. And due to that is why we as Mexican people are so behind. It's so behind, and we get mistreated so much in this country because we don't complain. We don't cry. We are just bullied around, being pushed around by everybody, as opposed to black people who said, nah, we're going to fight. And that sacrifice while fighting has enabled all minorities, not just Mexicans, Asians, Indians, everybody in this country benefits from the civil rights movements that was fought by black people. So my personal opinion in regards to black people always complaining, black people always crying, we need to stop identifying that as crying and complaining and really call it, we're tired of systemic inequality, systemic oppression, and we are going to finally stand up and change things. That is what a lot of Mexican people can't see. We call that crying, but the reality is that the reason why we are in the conditions that we are is because we don't cry enough.
I was raised primarily on 75th and Morgan. We, for a while, could not go past Ashland, and then we could not go past Damon. So about 10 years prior to this incident that happened to me in college, I was about 18, about 10, maybe 10 years prior. Everybody liked McDonald's, but McDonald's were not very plentiful in black communities. And they had finally built one that was kind of close, but not real close. And so one day I just got brazen enough. I had some money and I got brazen enough and said, I'm going to go to McDonald's. I did not ask for permission. I just decided I was going. My sister that's next to me, I put her on the seat of my bike because that's how we rolled back in the day. She rode on the back of my bike. And then I went and stopped by another girlfriend of mine's house, and we all decided we're going to go. But in order to go to this McDonald's, it was on 79th Street and it was past Damon. So we rolled down 76th Street, and instead of going over to 79th Street, which probably would have been better, we were kind of afraid of riding in the busy streets. So we kept going down 76th Street, and we turned on a residential block. When we turned on the residential block, it was in the summertime, and all these white people were outside on their front yards and all of that. And all of a sudden, we started hearing this chorus of niggas go home. Niggas go home. I had never been called a nigga before, but I'm pretty sure I knew. I mean, I know I knew that that was something bad. And it was scary the way they were saying it. But for some reason, I didn't know what to do. First, I didn't know what to do. My friend that came with us, she rolled off and left me and my sister. And I decided that I wasn't going to be no nigga that day. So I got off my bike. I put my sister behind me and I told her, don't move. My daddy had given me a chain, and it wasn't a chain like you go to the store and buy and it's all neat and stuff. He had cut it off of another chain, and it was to lock my bike up, and it had a lock on the end of it. And I took it, I unwrapped it from my bike, and I wrapped it around my hand, and I just stood there with my sister behind me because something was going to happen, but I wasn't going to be no nigga that day. So eventually, I don't know how I got the strength to put my sister back on the bike and get back on the bike. But we got away from there. And I went back home and I told my mom. And my mama put us in the car. She was real angry. But I don't know where the people went, because when we went back to the block, everybody was inside. I have never been so scared in my life. But I couldn't let nothing happen to my sister, because my father had always drilled in my head that I had to take care of my sisters. And I think that's probably why I just stopped and stood there. I don't know if I would have done that if I had been alone. But even to this day, my sister and I talk about this. And this has been well over 50 years ago almost. And we still we still feel the pain of just wanting to go to McDonald's like every other child. Last time I told this story, I did the same thing. I just want to add this. I did everything I could and prayed so hard that my children would never have to be called a nigger, would never have somebody threaten them like my sister and I experienced. And I thought you all were going to make it. And it seems like we're going right back to that same place. Okay.
So guys, having watched the video, I believe that the cries, the struggles, the fights of all African Americans or Black Americans, it is necessary. We're taking it back to the times of Marcus Garvey. These are people who heard out what people needed to hear because they said the truth, or the Black American grievances that they said are really affecting us up to date. We're having a couple of Africans who are leaving Africa to go to work in the United States. If it is not for fighting for the Black Americans, it couldn't have been easier for Africans even today to go there in the United States and, do some things there. I'm also happy that our brothers and sisters are keeping on fighting until today. We are saying the Black Lives Matters, depending on what happened in the year. Was it 2019 or 2020? Yeah, the Black Lives Matter thing. It is important even today because they address things which happens across the world. And if you're wondering, the world is always watching. Africa is always watching everything which is happening there. So, having heard the story of the woman who was being discriminated because of their color, because she used to go to the McDonald's during the 1960s. I don't think even my parents were born, because even Kenya, my country, got independence in 1963. So it was a long time ago. the white supremacists, what they did to all black people. But the sister fought, the sister persevered these things. And at the end of the day, at the end of it all, they managed with their sister to go to the McDonald's. And this fight, it is a necessary fight. These cries are necessary cries. I'm calling out all African Americans. I'm calling all black Americans to stand up together, to say no to something which are happening in your community. Don't you be afraid of people saying that you're complaining, because that's what you're saying will help somebody somewhere out there. Guys, tell me what you think in the comment section about these two stories. I believe that they are important. We as Africans back in Africa, we are always watching these stories, and it really motivates us as black people in our country, fighting against colonization, because that's what Africans were struggling with here back in Africa. We are still fighting colonization. We have corrupt leaders, and we also need to stand up as Africans and hear out what we're saying as Africans. Remember, we haven't still attained a total freedom, but at least we can say that today Africa it is at good place. It is not only for the African leaders before who fought for Africans. We have people like Du Bois, we have people like Marcus Garvey who also fought for black people in general. And we do recognize that. While today we are still fighting stability back in Africa, back at home, we believe that African Americans should also hear out what they're saying, because we also have our struggles back in Africa, and we need to fight them as Africans. Back in the United States, as black Americans, as African Americans, remember we are one people. Fight your fight. I know we are geographically, differentiated, but we are one people. We will always remain one people. So guys, with that much being said, I hope the two stories give you encourage to continue doing what you're doing while you're in the United States. This is Eugene from Kenya, Eugene Tiki Stories. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. A reminder, if you watch this video till this point, kindly consider subscribing to my channel. Until then, peace, love, and harmony. Salute.